All right. Well, good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Maria Mancia. I'm one of the admissions advisors here at American Canadian School of Medicine. I am super excited to introduce today Dr. Abiola Omodan. Thank you so much for joining us today and taking the time to share your knowledge with us here.
It is a pleasure to join you, Maria. Good evening or afternoon, as it is, wherever you are. This is Dr. Abiola joining you live today.
Yes, thank you. We have viewers from all around the world, different time zones. So whether it's evening, afternoon, or morning, everything counts. So, Dr. Abiola, tell us a little bit about your background, and how you came to be here on Dominica.
Oh, great. Thank you very much again, Maria. So, I am originally a medic. I became a doctor in 2005. My medical school was in Lagos, Nigeria. So I went to University of Lagos. That's where I got my MBBS. That's what we call it in that side of the world. It's a British fashion education. And so after I finished with my MBBS, I went into training as I spent 4 years in pediatrics. After which I again went for a master's in anatomy and cell biology. That was another like couple of years, 2, 3 years. And eventually I left Nigeria. I went to South Africa. I went to University of KwaZulu Natal. It's in Durban, in South Africa. That's where I actually had my PhD in clinical anatomy. And I started out in South Africa, initially as an academic. And then from South Africa, I was privileged to go to another beautiful African country. It's called Rwanda. There, I joined the College of Medicine there as well, in their school of their College of Medicine in anatomy as well. I was a professor back there in Rwanda until the opportunity came for me to come to the beautiful island of Dominica to join the team that is currently at the American Canadian School of Medicine. So that's just my short summary of how I got myself here right now.
Perfect. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. All right, so we're going to jump into the anatomy lab, and then I do want to revisit your experience living in Dominica now, and you can share that with us a little later. But tell us a little bit about your role as director of anatomy, the anatomy lab, and how have you prepared it? What are your thoughts about it? Anything you want to share?
Oh, okay. Yeah. So, from what you heard earlier on, I have actually had experience of, practicing in several anatomy labs. And over time, I realized that the anatomy lab, the ideal anatomy lab, keeps evolving. It keeps evolving. And then on the island, the American Canadian School of Medicine Anatomy Lab actually, what makes me happy to be in this lab is that it actually picks the good in those various evolution. And that is what actually we have actually used to have to set up our anatomy lab here. So our anatomy lab here actually includes you having hands-on with cadavers, which is what it's normally done in anatomy, to virtual reality. So we use virtual reality headsets, which immerses you into those live dissection as well, to anatomy softwares, and various forms of ways that make anatomy interesting. You know, I and my students right here, we always discuss, and I tell them, you guys, if I learned anatomy the way you are learning anatomy right now, I would actually be working with NASA. I'm sure they're going to create an office for anatomists in NASA or something, because anatomy lab, as it is on the island, it's the best you can actually find anywhere else. So that's that with the anatomy lab, and that was the question, right?
Yeah,
Anatomy lab.
yeah. And so you're saying it is comparable to NASA because of the technology that you're using, that the students
No.
have access to, or?
Well, I'm saying that the technology and the way it is being implemented would actually make you so sound in anatomy that you will be an envy of recruiters for NASA. We
That's
can't
amazing.
compare our technology definitely with NASA.
Yeah, that's
But of
amazing.
course,
So tell us a little bit about the technology. How do you balance that with, you said, use of cadavers?
okay. So the most important part is that what we do is such that when we teach anatomy in a system model, so there are two forms of teaching anatomy. You teach anatomy either regionally. So, for instance, when we want to talk about head, people talk about the head, or you talk about the thorax and abdomen, or you talk about the upper limbs. And the other way, it's, oh, let's talk about cardiovascular system. Then we talk about the anatomy of the cardiovascular system. So what we do is we teach anatomy systematically. So while you are in class, you are learning about how the heart is pumping blood and how the blood gets to all the other systems. You must look at the anatomy of what makes that blood get to all systems of the body. And so we combine you physically seeing what it looks like on a human being. That is what the cadaver is, the dead human being. So you look at what the heart looks like in the cadaver, and then you have an opportunity to dissect that, to go through the tissues of the heart virtually. So we immerse you in that experience. So it's like what you are doing hands-on. You are wearing a virtual lens, the Oculens. It's like a goggle. It's a VR set. We call it a virtual reality set. So you put it on, and then you find yourself in that environment where you can actually do that dissection yourself. So each student has an opportunity to do that dissection themselves virtually. And then we have some other softwares as well that you can obviously at your own time. Of course, you can't take the VR set from the lab home, but in your own rooms and your dormitories or hostels, then those softwares, you can actually engage yourself with those as well. So those are the three ways or three components that we combine in teaching anatomy on the island right now.
Okay, fabulous. I know that one of the major factors that sets American Canadian School of Medicine aside from so many other medical schools is that we really believe in keeping the classes small and giving the students a personalized approach and attention. Tell us a little bit about that. You know, how many students do you work with, and a little bit about that aspect of it.
Oh yeah, thank you very much. So like you mentioned, that's one of the things we pride ourselves in. We keep the students in such small groups so that interaction with actually the faculty and the students can be optimized. So the standard here, what we are using is we use 10 students to a faculty. So at each time, a faculty actually interacts with 10 students. So that gives me an opportunity to know everyone by name. So I know all the 10 people in the groups. I can interact with you on a name basis. You're familiar with me to such an extent that if you have a problem, you can be free with me to tell me, oh, this is where my problem is, this is where I'm lagging behind, or things like that. So that is the system, and that is what we do. So currently, we are divided into such groups such that each group is not more than 10. And then we can relate based on that with ourselves.
That's great. Yeah, I think that makes a world of difference in the quality of the education that we offer. Tell us a little bit more about the class and your approach. Anything else you would like to share?
Oh, yeah. So one of the things that we do these days, and which is maybe lacking in a couple of places, I won't say all other places, is that we try to make sure that our classes are mainly basically interactive classes. Definitely it is interactive. It's more of a flip class. And then we combine the flip with the interactive form of learning. And what this does to you is that you know that there's no way you're not going to contribute or communicate in this class. So definitely you want to prepare beforehand to come to this class, because definitely I am not going to be, I am a teacher, but I'm not going to be spoon feeding and teaching you all the way. So these days we've realized the fact that it's not about what to learn. It is about how to learn it. So there's so much information out there in the world. It's a matter of you lying in your bed and then bring up your phone and just go to Google and then you just search. However, what the difference is, why I would not say, oh, stay home and search and learn your anatomy, is that my role is to tailor you and guide you on how to use that information that is on Google the right way and the way that is going to be beneficial to you as a doctor. So one thing that we do here is that I remember that back then in medical school, I had to learn everything about anatomy, everything, both the one that I was going to use as a doctor and the one that wasn't going to be useful as a doctor. But then that thinking has changed. So what our curriculum does for you is that you basically concentrate on what we know you are going to actually have need of as a medical doctor. We're not going to overload you with basic things that you would never come across as a doctor. So that is essentially one of the things, the unique things about this curriculum.
That's great. And what are some of the challenges that you have seen, students have or foresee students having?
Oh, okay. So one of the things that I have noticed is that, of course, when students come in, the excitement is always very high. Oh my gosh, I am in medical school eventually. I'm going to be a doctor in a couple of years or thereabouts. But then they always forget that the medical education is very, very rigorous. So the medical education actually is compared to Navy SEAL training. It's just that we don't send you into the rain shouting, singing, and it doesn't take physical toll on your body, but it takes equally a mental toll on you.
Mm.
So with that excitement, people forget that it needs your equal contribution. So over time, you just find out that, oh my gosh, my regimen is just about I have to read this, I have to prepare for this class, I have to do this assignment. And then you start seeing people like getting weak and lagging behind. So what I expect or what I wish people coming into the medical school will come is tone your mental focus. This is a long journey and it's going to be a tough journey. Although what we guarantee you is that it's going to be an exciting journey all the way. But definitely it is a tough journey.
Yeah, that's definitely a great reminder. Like you said, medical school, it's a challenge and it's definitely a worthwhile challenge, right? Okay. Any other advice in general? We can talk about Dominica if you would like.
Oh, yeah, definitely. We can talk about Dominica. So, Dominica is actually a very beautiful island. So, it is like you are studying medicine on holiday. So, you need to combine those two together because this is everybody's dream holiday destination. But then you have to remember the fact that, oh, I am here not on holiday, but I am here on study. So, in as much as you've got the beach, you've got the lovely people, the friendly people, you've got the a weather that I'm sure you want to envy because I don't no snow, no cold, weather.
Yeah.
But then again, at the back of your mind, you have to know that, oh, I'm here for a purpose. So you must actually be in that spirit of learning and studying. So for Dominica, it will be a very good place for you to come if you want to. Like I said, the people are very friendly, and it's very, very secure. You don't have any worries about, oh, I'm going to be mugged on the street, or oh, I left my door open. Is anything going to happen to my phone if I forget at the restaurant? Security is guaranteed. The people are very friendly, and the environment itself is very nice.
Okay, great. Thank you. I do want to welcome our viewers to send in questions if you would like. Your questions are more than welcomed. All right. So, Dr. Abiola, the island is amazing. It's called the Nature Island. I've been to it. I love it. I'll be there next week, so I'll be seeing you.
Oh, great.
But what
Yes.
are some of the challenges that our students can face, coming from, New York or Oklahoma or Tennessee, moving from that kind of environment to something like Dominica? What can you foresee them having as challenges and what advice do you give them?
Oh, yeah. So one of the things that you are going to experience as a challenge is that shift in culture. So you're going to find out that, oh, I don't see those super malls anymore. There are no big theaters anymore. Of course, you've got maybe one or two movie theaters, but then, oh, I don't see those big movie theaters, no malls that I can just walk into and get whatever you want to get into. So that mind shift or mindset has to be prepared for. And then on your way, you have to pack things that you know that you're going to need for at least a particular number of months you're going to stay at a stretch. Because one of the other difficulties that we experience is, yeah, you can order things on Amazon and you can have things shipped down to the island. But then again, that takes a little bit of time as well. So you need to make a very detailed plan of, oh, I think I'm going to need this. I think I'm going to need that. going to need this for the next maybe 4 months, 5 months before I get an opportunity to go on holiday or something like that. So that is actually the greatest challenge. But however, all sorts of food and things you need, obviously, you can get on the island. And living on the island is actually very cheap compared to living on mainland US. So you can have things in the cheap, but if you want particularly things that are imported from the of course, mainland, the US, and other civilizations, then obviously you have to be willing to pay a little bit of extra. There are few malls that you can get all those things. They are available, but they are not just as as you would want it from where you're coming from.
Okay, thank you. And staying on the topic of setting and location, tell us a little bit more about the campus itself.
Oh yeah, so the campus of Axum, as we call it, American Canadian School of Medicine, is actually a very beautiful campus. It is located in Portsmouth. Portsmouth is one of the cities in Dominica. We are right in the north part of the island. So the campus is we have these very lovely buildings, and we are right by the seaside. So anytime you feel that you're having a brain block or something is not entering anymore, you can take a walk right to the beachfront and then just relax a little bit. Uh, well, so and we are right next to where obviously you've got series of accommodations to choose from. So for you, if you are actually coming down, so it's going to be like 5 minutes max or 10 minutes to your house or your room or thereabout to the campus. And yeah, it's a very beautiful campus. It's lovely with magnificent buildings.
Great, thank you. A lot of the people watching us today are still in university or in college, finishing up. What advice can you give them while they are finishing to prepare them for your anatomy lab specifically?
Oh yeah. So the advice I'm going to give is well, for most of the people in college that have not taken anatomy itself as a course, then you must actually have taken very solid courses in biology. Okay, because for those that have taken anatomy in one form or the other, it's an advantage for you. But for those that have not taken anatomy, then biology, you must be sound in your knowledge of biology. And that's basically what you need to survive in the environment of anatomy. Anatomy is a very vast area, and you would need to be very smart and to be very much ready. So that's what actually is going to get you ready. Make sure that you take biology courses and then be serious with your biology courses. It's not just don't take it because you want to have a B or you want to have an attendance in biology. You must be willing to score very high so that you don't lag behind when you meet the real anatomy.
Okay, great. And once they do get to our campus, if they find that they're having a challenge or a hard time with an assignment or a class, is there tutoring or anybody there that can assist them?
Oh, yes, definitely. So the system is developed that in such a way that from your very first week, uh, we pick up people that are failing or people that are trying to raise a flag for help or thereabouts. So the system is designed in such a way that we know those that are lagging behind or those that need help, maybe due to one reason or the other, immediately before you get to a point whereby you do a summative test and then it counts. So provision is made for such people. So we have people that act as tutors. So you have to just be willing to put in extra hours apart from your normal hours to catch up on what you are lagging behind. So you've got tutors that are going to be assigned to you. You've got people in the library that are specifically going to be assigned to people that are having some difficulties and things like that. And for people that we really find out that, oh, maybe the foundation is not deep enough, we have provisions on these Harvard courses, which are online. So they make provisions for you to like go back again, do some Harvard courses while you are not totally like out of the system so that you can build on your foundation. So there's a lot of help for everyone as long as you are willing to put in that effort.
Okay, great. Thank you. And for a student to not just do well in the anatomy lab, but to excel, what do you recommend? What kind of qualities do you recommend the student have?
Oh, yeah. So to excel in anatomy and generally in the other courses as well, you would tell people that medicine is actually a very actually like a melting pot of brains. I remember back then in medical school, we all came and then we saw ourselves and realized that, oh, you were one of the top three in your school, top three in your school. All top threes come together. When top threes come together, there has to be a bottom 10 or thereabout eventually. So, but what sets you apart is the dedication actually to your books. So anatomy and medicine in general, it's more about apprenticeship in some form as well. So you must be willing to put in the effort. Apprenticeship is about you want to learn to be like someone. So you must do something repetitively. You must find that habit of always going to your books. It's not enough for you to, oh, I've read it once or I've read it twice. You must find that mindset, that zeal in you to always go over and over until you know it like the back of your hand. So I think it's just that most important character that I want in a student is that dedication and that willingness to go the extra mile.
Okay, great, Dr. Ramadan. Anything else you would like to share at all? I'm giving you the floor.
Well, I think that I would just want to say briefly that the experience at Axom is a unique one. And it is, I think, an opportunity that if actually if I was to go back, time travel, and there was an Axom when I was actually applying to medical school, I would have fought tooth and nail to find myself in such a place, because this is one of the schools that I know has guaranteed or can guarantee you to excel as a doctor. Everybody can be a doctor. I tell people that I interview, it's being a doctor, you would always be a doctor. One day, anyhow, you'll be a doctor. But what sets you apart is what kind of doctor you want to be. This experience would guarantee you of being that quality doctor that your patients would always ask for when you are not on seat.
Excellent. And tell us a little bit about what you would say to the family members of prospective students who are considering attending Exum.
Oh, okay. Well, to the family members, I would say that uh, there's always this fear of the unknown. Oh, my son is going to somewhere without parental supervision or somewhere that is so far away from home. I want to say that I think you should not entertain such fear. The island of Dominica is a very beautiful place and it's a very safe place. And it's a place that students actually don't have distractions. It guarantees that for you. I'm sure they're going to do well around here and they are going to be in safe hands as long as they are on the island under the care of AXO.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Abiola Omodan, for your time and your words. We really appreciate you being here today. And this interview will actually be on our website and social media, so our audience can see it whenever they want at any point. So again, thank you so much for being here with us today. And to our audience, if you have any questions after this has finished airing, you can always send them to us. We're more than happy to give you information about the application process, the interview process, or the curriculum, as you can see here. Thank you so much again, Dr. Omodan, and I wish everyone a wonderful day. Thank you.
You're welcome. Beautiful day too.